This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstein Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 5, Episode 18, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington across social media channels. And I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Hogstein Network on audio. And, of course, right here on YouTube for the video. Well, Matt, didn't go well again for the Washington football team. Buffalo pretty much just spanked them like that misbehaving toddler in Route 6, you know. Woo, that was like the nun hitting the two Jake and Elwood at the Blues Brothers and chasing them down the stairs. I mean, wow. You know, they had, for a moment, it reminded me a little bit of the Seattle playoff game, Gibbs's last game. They cut it. They cut a big lead to 21-14 off a couple of flukes. And then they almost had an interception that would have been deep in Buffalo. Had they held on to that interception, then maybe you score there, you know. But they didn't. And that's what happened in that Seattle playoff game. They had one moment they could have pulled ahead. They didn't. Then Seattle buried them.
Yep.
Buffalo buried them with two shovels. I mean, it was like, wow, this defense really is awful.
And I'll say this. I mean, look, we knew Buffalo was going to be a hard game as soon as this game was announced. Buffalo was in the AFC Championship game last year against the Chiefs. You know, they're an up-and-coming organization. They finally kind of figured it out. You know, Ron had a good comparison where they're trying to build their team like Buffalo. You know, Buffalo was, after those 4 Super Bowl appearances, pretty much nothing. They were, you know, 3rd or 4th in the AFC East every year. The Patriots were smacking them around every year. But they finally got a coach in Sean McDermott. They built through the draft, and then they finally got their franchise quarterback. And we saw what a franchise quarterback can do for a team yesterday. You know, Josh Allen threw for 4 and ran one in. I mean, he was their entire offense. You know, and when you've got, you know, Cole Beasley and look, we expected Stephon Diggs to kill us, and he wasn't even the one that killed us. It was Beasley and God, I can't remember the guy's name. He's bounced around to every damn team in the league, it seems like, and he's primarily known as a kick returner. But, you know, I think, you know, he was crushing us with 2 touchdowns. It's just, you know, they Singletary was a non-factor in the running game. It was just Allen and those 2 wide receivers just crushed us the entire game. Rick, the defense is a problem. I know everybody wants to say, oh, it's one game. Yeah, it's one game, but it's a very eye-opening game. And when you look at the 3 games compared to one another, the third down, the inability to get off on third down and force a punt is killing this team. The defensive line gets no penetration. Linebackers are non-existent. Our corners can't cover that long. As long as Josh Allen had to sit in the pocket yesterday, it was insane. You know, I don't care if you had Ronnie Lott and Deion Sanders back there. They're not going to be able to cover those wide receivers for as long as they're expected to, with this defensive line getting no penetration. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what everything is a glaring need in this defense now. You know, this is a defense that Mike Greenberg is hyping up, saying they're sleeper Super Bowl contenders. And, you know, every commentator on NFL Network is, oh, well, look out for this Washington defense. They're going to be top 3. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. This defense read their press clippings. This defense went into the season expected, well, we're just going to be top 3. You know, we don't even have to play. Well, no, dude, I'm sorry. Something ain't right.
Yeah, there's so many things wrong with the defense, including the play calling. But, I mean, Rivera did it in a kind of sly way, but he threw a lot of players under the bus, in my opinion, on Monday in his presser, because he starts all that. They just have to trust the process, which means it's not the coaching, it's the players. All right. So, you know, I can't wait till that gets around.
Yeah,
but
no,
I mean, what happens if the process sucks? You know, I mean, they didn't dial up anything on it. And I'll give, you know, Allen credit. A few times that they really came at him, he got that ball out quick. That's how you beat Washington on that line. Get the ball out quick.
Yeah.
did that easily. I mean, he looked great.
Kendall Fuller has taken a big step back from what he was last year. I don't know what's going on there. The Landon Collins that we saw in preseason is not the Landon Collins that we see in the regular season. Cam Curl, as much of a success story as he was last year, he has been non-existent this year. You know, William Jackson was supposed to be this major upgrade over Ronald Darby, and I just don't see it, man. I don't. St. Juice, they are picking on that boy like, you know, he's the, you know, the smallest kid on the field. You know, they just, there's the secondary, but Rick, we knew this going into the season. I think linebacker is your glaring issue, because when your line gets stuffed by the offensive line and there's no linebacker behind you, or like you said, Deron Payne is opening up lanes, but there's no linebacker to go through it. Jamin Davis, I'm sorry, is not NFL ready. You know, sure, he's got speed and he's intelligent, and I'm sure he's a great kid, but I just don't see it. I don't see it being worth the 19th overall pick. You got a kid that was picked in the second round, Asante Samuel Jr. You may know his father. He played for the Eagles for a long time and terrorized the Washington Redskins back then. Yeah, that kid was picked in the second round. I think he has a pick in every game this year for the Chargers. You know, there's places, there was draft positions behind us that could be helping us now over what Jamin Davis is. If Jamin Davis ends up being a Pro Bowler, I'll eat my words. But the fact of the matter is, I just don't think he's ready yet. Rick, I want to read you these real quick, and this is from your buddy John Kine. Total yards, 31st, 432 yards a game. Points, 29. They're averaging 30 points a game. Passing yards, 29. Rush yards, 29. Takeaways, 27th. They have 2. That is what a that's your top 3 defense that you were hyping yourself up to be and reading your press clippings and putting them on the wall. You know, and I don't want to hear Chase Young talking about going to Del Rio and tell me who's BSing. You need to look in the mirror, bro. You're the one BSing.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming out and saying you and Montez want to break the season sack record. Why don't you get a sack? You're 3 games in. You don't have a sack. You had a sack against Cam Newton in preseason. Where's Cam Newton?
Yeah.
Sitting on a sofa.
I think here's one problem I think they have, and that is Rivera has total power on this team. The best Redskins teams were Beathard and Gibbs.
Correct.
Beathard picked guys, even though Gibbs didn't necessarily want them. Gibbs did not want Jacoby. He's like, what the hell am I going to do with this guy? You know, and Beathard said, trust me, this guy can play ball. And they did a great job there. Okay, technically, Washington has a general manager. They have the 2 Martys, you know, kind of thing. But they think like Rivera. He brought them like he did. Right. Yeah, there's guys and all. But you know what? You look at what he's done draft-wise now. He took Chase instead of Justin Herbert. Okay, I'm not going to bitch about it. You know,
I'm not going to complain about that one either, but it is right now where we sit right now, I would rather have Justin Herbert.
And you could have,
but that's also looking back. That's also looking back, Rick, which, you know, think about it. We had 4 quarterbacks last year. We're already on our second one, and it's game 3. I mean, sure, we can play that game. And yes, Justin Herbert is going to be a Pro Bowler in this league for a long time, you know, and he looked great against them in week 1. But I think Chase Young was the consensus pick. But I know where you're going with this. Jamin Davis, somebody should have told him no. That guy is a projected 3rd rounder. Because I guarantee you, if Washington didn't take him, he would have fell probably to the 2nd, maybe even the 3rd, because that's where he was projected to go.
Yeah, Rivera should have gone for an offensive tackle or a quarterback and move up or something. But instead, he's a defensive guy. He took another defensive, thinking, I'm going to finish my 85 Bears defense. And man, that's definitely hurt them.
Now, let me ask you this. Last year, Rivera was pretty distracted with a lot of things, right? Name, new team, trying to change the image of an organization. Let's throw in cancer diagnosis on top of it. Del Rio probably had a lot of say with that defense. Do you think now Ron's like, well, you know, maybe I could step in and maybe try and change some defensive schemes? Because I'm going to be honest with you, Rick, there is no reason that Sweat or Young on a 3rd down should be standing on the sidelines.
Yeah, I haven't heard that he's doing that, but I'm sure he's looked into it. Here's the problem. You know, I know Dan Snyder probably was spotted at a Breyers buying a bunch of gallons of vanilla ice cream. I don't know what he's doing with them. I guess
he's cheap. He would have got it from Sam's Club.
So you get a big drum and put it in. But, you know, I've never been a huge fan of Del Rio's play calling. I thought he was really slow last year to find the right talent, but I gave him a break because there was no off season and no preseason. So, okay, well, this year you had some of that. You choose not to play your players in the preseason. They choose not to have, a scrimmage against another team. So they still come in the season kind of blind to what they have. And I just don't like how he's not aggressive enough on what he has on these things. But are they going to get rid of Del Rio? No. Right here, blood brothers. I mean, this is the guy that helped Rivera up last year.
Yeah.
Brotherhood. That's not happening. But no defensive coordinator leaves Washington with the reputation intact, except maybe Greg Williams, and that got smoked later. But think of any defensive coordinator that left here and people said, yeah, he was good. Too bad he's not here. None. They all, I don't know what it is. You've changed everybody and it's still the same problems on these things. I think they have to definitely work on that. I know Rivera's done more on the offense than he would normally do because that's what they thought they had the problem. Now, I think your offense, one way or another, it's going to work. I didn't like that Rivera talked about Heineke should be a better game manager because that's bull. I hate Heineke is that dog unchained. You got to let it run, and let him do what he does. He's not a scripted 6-guy dump off, do this, do that. It's not him. I did like Rivera said, that big orange marker on the side, third down, throw the ball past it. Don't throw it short because how many times have we seen that craziness?
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't expect a bingo caller to come in and help the defense, but they definitely need some help and some ideas. And there's never anything to stop it. And I would say if you win the coin toss, take the damn ball, because the other team is taking the ball 3 times. You're down 7-0.
Thank you. I can't stand this damn deferring. You either way, take the ball, go out there and shove it down their throats, and let's start the tune of this game up. You know what I mean? Let's start the way that we want to start. Don't, like you said, the problem is if every time they defer, the other team just marches right down the field.
Yeah.
Before in a blink of an eye, Josh Allen had him in the end zone for a touchdown.
And now it's 20. And you're like, at 21-0, you're dead, man. Come on.
You're done.
They had
and it's funny, like, I think the more glaring stat is, Rick, they're a encroachment penalty away from being 0-3. Yeah. They let the Giants march up and down the field on them. They let the Giants score 29 points. The Giants couldn't break 14 points yesterday, and that's with Saquon getting yardage. Now they lost 2 wide receivers. I know that. But they let Daniel Jones look like Gale Sayers out there. This is ridiculous. And look, I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to get pissed off. Heineke's not the guy. He's not the guy. It's a great story. He's a nice player. But when it comes down to it, and it's, 3rd and 15, and you got to do what Aaron Rodgers did last night, Monday night and Sunday Night Football. You got 39 seconds to march your team down the field to score a game-winning field goal. Is Heineke that guy? No, he's not that guy. This team is still a quarterback away. I like Taylor. He seems like a great dude. I'm glad he's maximizing all of his potentials with this Bud Light stuff and everything, and he's a likable kid. But the fact of the matter is he's not the guy. And I'll get a lot of hate mail for that, but hey, it's just what I see.
Well, I said before the season, I'll go out talking about this now. I think Kyle Allen will still start games this season. And when Ron talks about game manager and he wants Heineke to change things, that's your first sign that we're going to eventually see Kyle Allen too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different. All right. We're running out of time. I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll be back again later this week. So keep on watching. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent on the Hogstye Network.